Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. This is G. Are you ready, Leo? The very beginning of March. Two events. We have an ending and a closure because it's a full moon time right at the beginning of the month. So you might start seeing that full moon up in the sky around the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th. But it reaches the full point by degrees. It reaches that full point 16 degrees and 40 minutes on the 7th of March. So, right, you got the opposition of the sun and the moon. So it's the Virgo full moon. It'll be at 16 degrees and 40 minutes. And you could also say it's a 17-degree full moon. So if you've got your chart, look and see what do you have at 15, 16, 17, 18, even 19 degrees of Virgo. All right, because something is ending. There's a closure, there's a completion, there's a release even, okay? It's a full moon energy. Whenever we have the full moons, we always got to talk about our feelings and our emotions because it's the moon, and that also represents mom and family. It's feminine energy too. So if you don't have a mom in your life, somebody who kind of has that nurturing vibe with you, right? Someone who looks like a mom, who acts like a mom, could be a friend, doesn't matter if they're male or female or however they identify. It is a nurturing energy, and it's a full moon. Now, it's a big deal in a way because it's in the sign of Virgo. And when we think of Virgo, we think of domesticity. So it's like the house. Yeah, it's the things that happen in the home. A lot happens in the home, right? It's like a mini business, really. If it's run right, it's like, okay, there's an inventory on like the groceries, right? There's an inventory on towels and supplies and the automobile. Like there's a whole slew of things that have to be tended to. And so Virgo energy kind of represents the service that we do in the home. And so along with doing that service, we have to be able to keep track. So I said inventory. I said that word for a reason because Virgo keeps track of stuff. Right. It's Mercury as its ruler. Right. So I'm going to try not to get too more involved in the astrological points. I'm going to try and keep this free. So we're releasing and we're ending feminine energy. It could be a routine, a daily routine that we do in the home, but it could have to do with your job too, because it's Virgo. And so it's like tasks, it's work projects. Yeah. So there could be some stuff that you do at home. And if it is that, it could have to do with your food. It could even be exercise. It could even have to do with pets. Like, do you take your pet out for a walk? Do you feed your pet, right? Some folks might even have that as a job, right? But let's find out where it happens for Leo. Virgo energy, second house of money and income. Yeah, so that makes it a little bit more serious. And I say serious because it's money and income. It's our values. And we're talking about a full moon, which makes it a release. So are we releasing a value? Are we releasing possibly a pet? That's a possibility because Virgo energy is pets, right? So this could be your cat, your dog. And it doesn't have to necessarily be a bad thing. Maybe your mama dog or mama cat had puppies or kittens, and maybe you're giving them away to a good home, right? It doesn't have to be like an end of life thing, right? It just means something is ending. And so there's a health routine associated with this. Food is definitely going to be prominent here because it's Virgo in your second house. And second house is Taurus. Taurus is food. It's the five senses: smells, taste, touch, clothing, even. Yeah, fine art. It's your desires, what you desire and who you desire. So love can be a factor here. So it could be a partnership. And maybe if it's Virgo, maybe there was a work partnership, somebody you worked with, a coworker type of a thing, some sort of a job, right? Some sort of a task or a project within the job. Maybe you had a partner that way. All this can be that and more. You want to have more answers and to figure out the details of this even further, go find where your Mercury is, because Mercury rules the Virgo, right? Mercury rules this full moon. So you want to take the meanings of the Mercury up in the sky at the moment of the full moon, right? And the Mercury in your natal chart. Now, for those of you where you feel like, gee, why did you go there? I don't know what the hell any of that is. Then just pretend like you didn't hear it. Just be like, la, 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 because it doesn't matter then, right? You just listen to the other stuff I said. It just represents a release, a closure, an ending, routines and tasks, things that you value. Love could somehow play a role in this, and pets. Okay. Now, the thing that's a big deal about this particular full moon is that it happens on the same day when Saturn changes signs. Yeah. Saturn leaves the sign of Aquarius. It leaves group energy. Saturn was somebody who was in charge, an authority figure. And it was all about setting up um, organization, right? And creating structure. And Aquarius was the supply chain, right? So we had a lot of problems with the supply chain during the pandemic. And then, yep, believe it or not, Saturn went there. And so there was some reshuffling of things around, a reorganizing, a restructuring. Yeah. And so that's what happened. Now, it's also, Aquarius is also energy, literally, right? Alternative energy. It's a lot of things. It's group energy. It's friends. It's literally your friends. So Saturn's leaving that. And Saturn would have been restrictions and rules. Okay. Restrictions and rules. And it's not to be a badass or a hard ass restriction and rules. It's to set up for success. Remember, folks, Saturn is our friend. Okay. So Saturn leaving Aquarius energy, leaving the group energy, leaving um Aquarius, remember, is astrology. Aquarius is the angelic realm. Aquarius is disruptions. Saturn is leaving that. So now it's going into Pisces energy, and Pisces is the non-tangible world. It's interesting and it's kind of tricky because it's like the ethereal realm. It's like what you can't see, but you can sense it because it's Pisces. Pisces is high levels of sensitivities. So Saturn is serious, number one. It's serious. It represents time. It represents time. It represents the 3D and the tangible. Where's my other pen? So it's like you can see the pen now because this is Saturn. I'm using this to represent Saturn. It's not the best example, but it's tangible and it's 3D. When Saturn goes into Pisces, all of a sudden it's gone. You don't see Saturn anymore. It's like, where did it go? So Saturn being rules and authority figures, there may be some authority figures that disappear. There may be some people in politics that disappear. Yeah. There could be performers, actors, actresses, because Pisces is all of that. Pisces is the movies and the people who perform. Pisces is also the behind the scenes. Think about a production. Think about a play, a musical, a Hollywood film. Think about all the stuff that goes on behind scenes to make that film happen, to make the show go on. There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes, right? That's Pisces. It's big with sound, very big on sound. Okay. So it's musicians also. All right. And so Saturn going there, it's like it's going to try to add some structure to all that. Now, Pisces can be the hospitals, can be the prison system. That's Pisces. Saturn being somebody who is in charge. So all of a sudden, there's somebody who can create rules and who can add order and structure going into those areas of Pisces energy. All right. Now, where does this happen for you? Right. Leo, I'm checking your chart. Leo energy. Saturn is in your 8th house. This is your deep wounds and your emotions. Saturn being there. Okay, so if Saturn goes somewhere, it can bring rules and it organizes, it sets up structures. Some feel like it can be restrictive at times. Okay. In a way, this can be beneficial because the 8th house would be the mystical, the magical, the occultist, things that are hidden, that are hard to understand. That's the 8th house. It's also like inheritances. It's also our shared values. And it can be shared values as far as like, we value this thing or this person. Okay. So Saturn going there, it's like it's adding the material and the tangible into a realm, into the Pisces energy, and then the 8th house keywords too. So it's like past life stuff. So possibly somebody who was older from a long time ago, all of a sudden showing up in your life. Saturn can be like a parent, even like a mother or a father. It's masculine energy typically. Okay. Somebody who we look up to even. If it goes into the 8th house, for some individuals, Saturn going there can create more restrictions. Right. So restrictions, but possibly even the restrictions go away. It can go either way because Saturn's all about rules. It touches Pisces. All of a sudden rules disappear. But then Saturn, if it's a strong Saturn for you, because it has to do with how was Saturn in your natal chart. I know this is so complex in my mind. I'm just hearing all this at the same time. I'm sorry. There must be some Leos out there that understand this and can take it and run with it and know what to do with it. But look at your own private Saturn in your chart, because wherever your natal Saturn is, and the health of that Saturn. Meaning if it's in a sign where it operates really strongly, then it's going to have a lot to do. Because remember, the Saturn up there talks to your personal Saturn. Okay. And it'll also affect that house where your personal Saturn is. And all that will give you the more details that I know you're probably thirsty for. Okay. So restrictions, rules, order, compartmentalizing. And this is deep emotions and wounds. Right. So for a lot of folks with eighth house energy, pains from the past, intense emotional pains from the past. Saturn coming there, it may bring up emotions of people who were of authority from the past and those past pains. It also may help you to have some clarity because Saturn can organize and compartmentalize and put things in such, you got like, I was on the phone with my mom today, going through the pill box, right? Okay. So I know, and this is a really good example actually, because drugs would be Pisces and a pill box would be Saturn. So, wow, thank you for the example. I didn't even think of that. And they're like, talk about the pill box. I'm thinking, why should I talk about a damn pill box? But it's an absolutely phenomenal example. A pill box is structure and organizing, and it's tangible. It's 3D. The drugs that my mom takes, like we see the pills, like that's also Saturn, but we don't really see the action of the pills. No, we see the after effect of the pills, right? Right. And because it's substances, it's Pisces. So in that eighth house placement, it could have to do with things that you don't see. And so it can help structure and organize. And again, drugs is just an example because Pisces is substances. Remember, I mentioned hospitals. So doctors may play a role in this as well. But it's wounds from the past because it's the eighth house. It's only going to be a big deal if you have something in Pisces at like 0 degrees of Pisces, because this is where it is on this day. At March 7th, Saturn hits 0 degrees of Pisces energy. All right. So 2-degree orb, 2 degrees before, 2 degrees after, and then you'll know, right? That goes up to 2 degrees of Pisces, that means. And that goes backwards even, to 28 and 29 degrees of Aquarius, right? Which means you would know this before then because Saturn is traveling there and actually conjunct it right now as I'm doing this video in February, first week of February, I'm doing this video. So that's what's happening at the beginning of March. I know it's a lot. It was a mouthful. I'm already exhausted. All right. So we're moving on. We're going to your new beginning. You have a new beginning, Leo, and your new beginning in Aries. It's an Aries new moon. So when you have an Aries new moon, I'm just going to draw this in here. So I have so much written down. It gets so confusing. Your Aries new moon, it's a big deal because this happens at 0 degrees of Aries. You see how this is, you're hearing things like 0 and 1 and 2. So it's really, truly a grand new beginning. Like February, January, it's like, oh my God, there's like a lot of new stuff happening. And there really is. 0 degrees of Aries is the world axis point. So this will be something on the world scale. We'll hear about it. It'll be in the news anytime it's on the world axis point. It's called the world axis point for a reason, global, right? And in Aries, it's about the body. It's about our freedoms. Fighting might be involved because Mars was born for war. Mars rules Aries, right? This makes me think of NATO because it's on the world axis point. It's 0 degrees of Aries. It's a new beginning. You all can probably see where we're going with this. However, if you've got something at the 0 degrees Aries, even at 1 or 2 degrees, a new beginning is coming. Could have to do with the freedoms of your body, something about your independence, body consciousness. You may be possibly feeling like you're being seen and maybe possibly understood for the first time, right? Like all that flows into this. When I look at the keyword for this one, I did some deep homework on this. It's the power of clearly visualized ideals. The power of clearly visualized ideals. It speaks to the point of powerful ability to manifest, focusing, zero in, using your willpower, your emotions, your intent for visualization, and understanding that if you can see it, you can believe it. If you can believe it, you can achieve it. Like it can materialize in the tangible realm and become reality for you. This is a big deal. Ninth house is your beliefs, the way you think, but it's deeper. It's a belief that you hold. So this means a new belief about your body, a new belief about the freedoms of your body, possibly a new belief about higher education and learning and possibly being a teacher, becoming a teacher, or taking extended education. The ninth house is also traveling long distances. So whether that means you get on the horse and you go across the country, nowadays we have a car, so we're going to do that. But ninth house would be the Chiron, the horse, right? The half human, half horse. Going a long distance. This could even be by airplane then. Ninth house is also spirituality and religion and ethics, right? If you think of philosophy, you ever taken any philosophy courses? Like it's some deep thought, some deep thinking, right? So there's morality, there's critical thinking, like there's world religions, like there's all of that in that bucket. And seeing the commonality within all those things, tying those threads together, seeing the underlying links, right? It's unity at the end of the day. But Aries has a hard time accepting that because Aries is all about me being the individual, and so Aries has to work on finding the commonalities. And I know it's hard. I know. I have a lot of Aries, I know. Now, Pluto is transforming and changing, okay? But changing in a very deep way. It goes to the root and it rips it out and it says, we got to start over again. Yeah. So where are you starting over again? This could be friendships. This is group energy because it's Pluto in Aquarius at 0. This is a foreshadow. This Pluto will only be here for a few months in 2023. It backs out, right? It only goes to like 0 degrees in 22 minutes or 23 minutes. And then it backs out and goes back into Capricorn. This will be a foreshadow for you. Pay attention, keep your ears, keep your eyes open, take notes if you need to, see what's changing. You're probably feeling the changes already because it's at 29 degrees right now as I'm doing this video. And Pluto works slowly, methodically. It's the still waters that run deep. That's Pluto, right? So you can't see what's going on because it's happening below the surface. It can be very psychological. This is in your 7th house, okay? Leo ascendant, typically you've got Pluto at 0 degrees in your 7th house. Some of you may not, because remember, we're talking about a 0 degree. Many of you have multiple signs in one house, and that's fine. And houses come in all different shapes and sizes, folks. So again, comment to me and I will help you figure that out. This is my passion. This is what I do. All right. Serving the group. Aquarius, this is who I am, folks. All right. It's group energy, but it's also social causes. Social causes. So if you've got this in your 7th house, this means your 7th house is your mate, your partner. Are you married? Are you dating somebody? Even if you're not married or dating, even if you don't have somebody that you would consider a romantic interest, it doesn't even have to be that. It can be somebody in your life that you are willing to compromise for. Like you have a relationship with them where okay, when this person needs something, I know I got to pick up the phone or I know I got to be involved in some way because I value them, right? It's like as if you were married. There's that bond, right? So this means that person, not you, that person, because your 7th house speaks of that person. They are going through changes and transformations, right? So what that means is your friends are changing, but also are those people that you hold dear, that you would compromise for. There's something here changing on a very deep level because Pluto asks and demands that we all step it up a notch and that we all, understand we need to do our best to do what is best for the greatest good, for the most involved. The reality is we can never achieve the best for all involved. I know that's our goal. I know that's our intention, but it's darn near impossible. How is that possible? What I want is different than what you want, right? So the goal is to do the best for the most involved, right? But for Pluto, we hold those standards really, really high. And as long as we use our power, our Pluto power with purpose, and we remember our ethics, we remember that Pluto's going to come tolling the bell for us if we're not on point on not abusing the power that Pluto gives us, then we'll be fine. We got nothing to worry about. Pluto endows us with great power. And so your spouse is being endowed with great power. And if it's in Aquarius, remember, Aquarian energy is groups. So your spouse, his ability or her ability or their ability to be your spouse, but then to be working with people one-on-one is going to change. Okay. So there's something transformational because it's Pluto. Now, what I will say is we could go deeper and we could say, well, remember that the ancient ruler of Aquarius, because it's Pluto in Aquarius, the ancient ruler of Aquarius was Saturn. And in some schools of thought, like Vedic astrology, they don't talk about Pluto. They only talk about Saturn, right? They don't even talk about Uranus ruling Aquarius. They, to this day, right? Babylonian astrology, it's just, no, we're just talking about Saturn because that's all that existed then, right? And so that's fair, right? So that would mean possibly a father figure or a boss person in their life that's changing. See, now it makes sense, right? You're at a job, all of a sudden, you realize you have to make compromises for the job. Sometimes you make compromises for your boss because that's that sort of a relationship. And that seventh house can be that someone that you compromise for. If it's in group energy, it can be friends. It can be a friend that's older than you. It can be a masculine person, even if they're even if they're female. It can be someone who exhibits a lot of strong masculine energy. Someone you look up to, right? Something is changing and transforming. Pay attention to the degrees. If you got nothing there, then you may not even notice this, honestly, but you will likely see things changing and transforming because this Pluto will be here in your seventh house for 20 years. 20 years. I know I forgot to talk about the Saturn and its length. Saturn is going to be in your, we're on Leo. Saturn is going to be in your eighth house for 2.5 years. It's in the sign of Pisces for 2.5 years. Let's put it like that. Okay. So think about that. And then this Pluto will be in Aquarius for 20 years. So once it backs out, it'll be in Capricorn, but then a year from now, it'll be back in Aquarius. And it's going to be there and stay there. And it's going to be transforming your seventh house of significant one-on-one relationships. It's going to be changing that. So your partner is going to be changing. All right. There's some big change your partner is going to be taking on. Pluto's transforming it. Again, look for the degrees, right? Look for the degrees and understand this is a slow, deep process. Pluto does not work super fast, but I'm going to be honest with you. None of us have ever lived through this before. So I can't even truly speak from it where, hey, I've looked at this in my chart and then I've looked at it in others' charts and this is how it shows up. I can't say that this time. Okay. But I am doing some extra studying up and I will be offering a Pluto Aquarius, I'll call it extended class. I'm going to do like an extended class. I'm going to figure all the details out, but that is coming up in the future. So don't forget to ask me about it. And we will literally probably do a special little extra thing where we're meeting on Zoom for those who really are interested and want to go super deep. Because like I said, I'm doing some additional studying for this purpose. It's the next 20 years. And I feel like I need help to be able to help others. All right. So that's it. That wraps this month up for you, Leo. You got questions, put them in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Below the video, I'll have all the degrees for those of you who like to pay attention to the degrees in your chart. Again, if you don't know and you want to know, just comment below.